Hey guys, it's Nailbiter, and I've got another World of Tanks replay here. This is a round with the T25 AT on Westfield. The T25 AT is a Tier 7 American non-turreted tank destroyer. It leads up to the E3. It's actually a pretty fun tank. I enjoyed playing it quite a bit. It's fast, has pretty good camo, and the gun is actually pretty good for a Tier 7 tank destroyer. It gets the same gun as the T32, which is, I believe, about 190 pen, 198 pen, 320 damage. So pretty good for a Tier 7 tank. The DPM is solid, and it doesn't have great armor, but you do actually get a fair number of bounces off the mantlet in the front. You'll bounce some pretty high caliber shells, so it's not horrible. And the fact that it has pretty good gun depression means that often you can take shots without exposing too much of your tank. So I had a lot of fun with this tank. I didn't have 6th Sense on this crew, but I imagine with 6th Sense it would be probably even better. So this is on Westfield, and generally from the south side, I like to play this ridge or this hill on kind of C2, D3, especially with a tank with gun depression. It can be really effective, so I like to poke over there and get early lights on anything that's crossing into the city area on the enemy team. And then the other thing you can do is you can play the backside of this hill and watch for any enemy tanks that are trying to move up into kind of the C1 area. So I managed to catch an IS-3 there. So I got two pretty easy shots in there on the T29 IS-3 as they're trying to move up. And this is something you can do with medium tanks, heavy tanks, and any tank really with decent gun depression. Just play this ridge. You have to be a little careful of artillery. So as you'll see, I do end up getting shot at by the FE304 on the enemy team. But if you keep mobile, it generally isn't too much of an issue. And since you're on the backside of a hill, it's not an easy shot on you. I'm trying to get some shots on this KV5 here. I took a bad second shot there. I don't really know where I was aiming, but hit him in the cupola there on the third shot, and the FE304 hits me in the side. Fortunately, it doesn't do a lot of damage with those shots, so I only take a little bit more than 100 hit points in damage. And actually, you saw as well that shot that the KV5 bounced off me hit right in the gun mantlet, and it did no damage. So I'm just going to really keep poking back and forth and seeing where I can get shots on these guys, trying to take advantage of my gun depression. Even though I'm playing a tank destroyer, you can take advantage of the... You can almost play this tank like a medium tank, really, because it's so quick and pretty nimble, and with the good gun depression. You can put it in situations that, other tank destroyers would probably have some trouble in. So we've actually pushed up on the east side of the map. It doesn't look like the enemy sent anything along the 0 line. So hopefully those guys can swing around and put some pressure on the enemy tanks that are camping in the northern part of the map. Just had to peek over this hill and actually I wasn't expecting that shot to pen, but put a good shot into the T28 Proto. Really, I'm just going back and forth looking for shots at this point. The enemy obviously has too much in this area to really push on anything at this point, and as a Tier 7 tank destroyer in a Tier 8 game, you can't really be too aggressive. Got a bit lucky there. I think I bounced the T29 shot. I'm not really sure where that shot might have gone off it looks like it went off my gun mantlet again. And the T34 just missed me. So the IS-3 is pushed up into the city, but there's not really a whole lot I can do about him at this point. You really want to avoid taking on Tier 8 heavy tanks frontally or just head-on in a Tier 7 tank destroyer. I mean, that's really the one issue, I'd say, with some of the lower tier tank destroyers, is they tend to have pretty low hit points, and so if you get shot at all by higher tier tanks, I mean, you're basically, they can basically two-shot you for the most part. So you have to be really careful about taking hits from them. So I thought I saw a Triga knock down there. I thought the IS-3 was moving up. This T-34 wanted to try to get a shot on me, but he didn't quite have the gun depression to do so. Said he kills the FE304 in the back there. And I didn't quite get a chance to put a shot in him in return. So our team is kind of melting a little bit. That T-29 died behind me, and our push in the east looks like failed pretty badly. We're down by 4 tanks now. We do have a Roomba still in the southern part of the city, the southeastern part of the city. This T-34 is pushing over. I'm not really sure. I probably should have aimed that shot a little more, but that still shouldn't have bounced. I don't really know how that bounced. These heavy tanks are trying to shoot the T-34 behind me, it looks like. So I'm able to get a shot into the IS-3. This T-34 moves up and gets tracked by our artillery. Take a little more time there with that shot, and I know that I'll be able to reload before he does. So if he stays out there as he is doing, I should be able to get a kill shot on him. Unfortunately, the FE-304 hits me at the same time, and I take another 200 or so hit points and damage. So I'm one shot really for anything now, except for the T-23 E3 on the enemy team. I was worried about the IS-3 pushing around on me, but it looks like he's backed off. I can still play this ridge and peek over, and with my gun depression, I should be able to get some or sneak a shot into him. He gets spotted there. I was waiting a second here to see if our artillery would hit him, and then I decided I don't want to waste this opportunity when he's not looking at me. So I put a shot into him. I think if I had waited a second longer, because you saw the artillery shell land just after where he was, if I had waited a second longer, the artillery might have hit him, but the T-34 takes him out anyway. So we've managed to mostly clean up this northern area. The SU-152 hasn't been spotted yet on the enemy team, but since he killed our T-29, and judging by the position that our T-29 was in right there when he got killed, I'm guessing the SU-152 is in A3 somewhere. So we still have to be careful. I'm a one-shot. The T-29 does still have hit points left, so in theory he could push, but he ends up playing the last few minutes really passively for some reason. The game slows down a fair amount here, so I'm going to just fast forward a little bit. So the Roomba's still in the south as Leo is trying to do a spotting run. He actually spots the FE-304 there. I would have liked to be able to peek over and get a shot on him, but it definitely wasn't worth the risk. And artillery, who actually did a good job, the M44 on our team, did a pretty good job at hitting the targets that we lighted for him, and so he actually gets the FE-304, who looks like didn't move at all. So we managed to even up the score again. This Leo is still doing some scouting runs. I'm just hanging back here waiting to see what gets lit. And our T-34 is just sitting in C1 for the moment. I know the Roomba and the T-23 A3 are around C6 still. The Egg Panther is probably still in B3, and both those guys get spotted. I'm trying to peek over and see if I can get a shot on one of them. I couldn't quite tell which way the Roomba was looking, and he goes back in stealth there right as I was thinking I might peek over and try to shoot him, and then it was just a little bit too risky for me to get a shot in. And the M44 there actually takes him out with a really nice shot, so that was a really important kill on him. Unfortunately, our Roomba, who had moved up a little bit in the middle of the map there, got cut out in the open and get killed by the SU-152. So I'm still thinking the SU-152 is still in A3, and the Egg Panther is in B3. It's just a matter of trying to root them out and find a way of spotting them. So I'm trying to cover this Leopard as he's moving up, see if he can light anything. I don't want to push over this ridge though, because chances are I'll get spotted if I do, and I obviously can't take any hits. So I'm just going to do my best to support the Leopard, however he decides to move up. And this T-34 is still just hanging out. In theory, he should be able to take a hit from anything the enemy has left on their team. But for whatever reason, he decides to be very passive on the backside of this hill and doesn't really make any effort to move up or spot anything, really. I'm thinking here maybe we can flank and try to kill the T-23 E3 because he's probably isolated. But the T-34 doesn't respond, and so I was actually about to do it myself, and then the Leopard said he was getting arty, and I decided to peek here. And the SU-152 has moved up, and I have his side, so I can get some good side shots into him. and the Leo backs up, and the 152 misses, so I'm able to get plenty of time now to get the kill shot.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
And there the Jagdpanther gets spotted. Our M44 had moved up and actually was going to push over that hill. Trying to see if I can get a shot on the Jagdpanther, but he drops spot just before I can get into a good position. I'm just waiting to see if he'll get spotted again. And now I know this Jagdpanther is pretty isolated, so in theory the T-34 could have pushed around the inside of this hill, and he would have been he would have blocked, or he wouldn't have been able to get shot by the T-25 AT, but he stays on the backside. I see the Jagdpanther shoot there, so I know that I have time to peek over and get a shot into him. I take my time with this shot. So now he's should be a one-shot for the T-34, and if I high roll, I can one-shot him. I keep hoping the T-34 is going to push, but he stays on this backside of the hill. And there are a couple, you can kind of hear there are a few shots landing behind me, so I'm wondering if the T-23 E3 has actually changed location, and I decide there's so little time left that I just have to make a move. So I'm going to rush south, kind of to the southeast, and see if I can find the T-23 E3. I don't have Sixth Sense, so I don't know if I'm getting spotted, but I decide I need to make a run for it. And there I find him, base of this hill. He's trying to back off. And with the T-23 E3 gun, I knew he wouldn't be able to one-shot me, and the pen on the gun is pretty low anyway, so I kind of caught him a little bit off guard there, and he was trying to back off, but I was able to get the kill shot, and now it's just a matter of rushing in. I was worried the T-34 still wouldn't be pushing, but it looks like he actually has moved up. So I'm just going to try to find the artillery before time runs out at this point. And there's looks like the Jagdpanther just tried to move up. Unfortunately, our T-34 finally manages to take him out. So now I'm just hoping that the artillery is somewhere back here. It's too late for me to cap, although in theory, if we got all three of us on cap, we could cap it out. And fortunately, there the artillery is in the back, and he's not looking at me. And I take him out and get the kill shot. So a pretty good game in the T25 AT. We ended up having to do quite a bit of damage. It looks like about 4,500 damage, and a lot of it towards the end of the game when we were on low hit points. And that can be the trouble with playing a tier 7 tank destroyer and lower, is with so little hit points you don't have a lot of room for error, and you also don't have a lot of room for kind of taking a shot and being able to then push on the enemy or something like that to lead a push. So you have to generally, especially in higher tier matches, you have to play fairly passively. I've been hoping that our T-34 would play a little more aggressively than he did as a top tier heavy tank, but he played quite passively as well, so we ended up having to do a lot of the damage towards the end of the game and had to kind of make a lot of the moves ourselves. So got a little fortunate there that T-23 E3. I wasn't fully sure where he would be, but I managed to catch him off guard, and he didn't really know what to do when we ran into him. So it worked out in the end, and now let me show you guys the post-game stats. And here are the post-game stats. This was an ace tanker with the T25 AT. I actually ended up with about 1,700 base experience this round, so it was quite a high experience round with the T25 AT. I was a little surprised I got that much experience. About 4,500 damage, high caliber and Confederate. So a really good result in a tier 8 match, and as you can see, the M44 on our team actually also had a really good game. He got some crucial kills towards the end of that round, and did over 2,000 damage, which is definitely solid for a tier 6 artillery in a tier 8 game. You usually don't see tier 6 artillery as being that useful in tier 8 games. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the replay. Hopefully it gave you a bit of a sense of how the T25 AT plays. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.